Thanks for tuning in to this episode of TouShaiPod. I'm your host, Shay. As such, I must warn you, prepare for some cringy and dramatic stories that will most likely make you question humanity. When we're hit with a story that leaves us speechless, we'll say, "Touche, Reddit, you've done it again." As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the third episode of TouShaiPod. Let's see what kind of stories we will get into today. Mystery injuries, judging your partner's music taste, workplace crushes, and challenging the common phrase, "There is no such thing as a stupid question." A little all over the place it seems, but trust me, these stories will drop your jaw. And today I have two special guests that we haven't seen before. We've got Bear right here and Bandit back there. They are my mom's dogs, and I'm taking care of them for a little bit, so they will be sitting in on today's episode. Harley is also here, but he's on the floor, so they won't be saying much or commenting on any of these stories, but they will be my moral support. I also want to extend an invite to anyone who's interested on being a guest on this show. I would love to have a fellow commenter because, yes, I love hearing myself talk, but I would love to bounce off of somebody off of these crazy stories and see if they get shocked by the Touche shock factor. But let's go ahead and get into the first story of today's episode. This is from r/best of Redditor updates, originally from r/true off my chest. My boyfriend comes home injured every day and he won't tell me why. I, 26 female, live with my boyfriend, 23 male, and he's the love of my life. He's always been honest with me about everything, but recently I feel like he's been hiding something bad from me. Because for the past 2 months, every time he returns home from work, he's bruised and injured. Not like a small injury, but really visible injuries. Bruises, cuts on his abdomen and on his legs. Bad injuries. The worst injury he has had was about 13 days ago. He came home at midnight and I was still awake doing some work, and his hair and his face were messed up. He has a middle part and it was like some of it was cut off, and he had bad swelling in his cheekbone area. He also had a black eye. When I saw him, I was trying to ask him what happened to him, and he just told me he didn't want to talk about it. I've tried to do anything just to get some information from him, but he refuses to give me anything. He keeps telling me not to worry about it. I've told him I would go to the police to report this, but he pleaded with me every time to not go or else he'd break up with me. I'm so worried for him and I feel like I can't do anything. He hasn't done anything to deserve any of this, and I've been trying to come up with something, but I can't. He truly is a person who lives a simple life. The only reason I've come up with is that my boyfriend is one of few minorities in a very conservative city. But even then, he has friends, connections, etc. that would not explain this. This is truly mysterious and awful, and I hope he's okay. I know he's getting beat up for some reason, but I hope he's okay, and I hope that this doesn't continue happening, because this is not only a strain on him, this is a strain on y'all's relationship. It's definitely going to break some trust and communication that is so necessary in relationships to have. If your partner is coming home with injuries like that and you aren't able to figure out why, or he's not communicating to you why this is happening, this could lead to a very big issue in y'all's relationship, possibly a deal breaker. So hopefully you guys can figure this out, and hopefully this can stop happening. This isn't okay. A few people commented on this post and I wanted to include their comments here. One commenter said, "I bet he owes someone money." Yeah, that would be a very reasonable explanation, but I feel like OP would know based on spending habits, based on behavior, based on, I feel like he would tell you that, OP. I feel like he would tell you that off the bat if that's what was happening, because hopefully y'all have that trust and communication built up to where he feels like he can tell you what's going on without you judging him. But if none of those red flags are there, then I don't think it's that. Another comment says, "LMAO, then how else is he getting so injured? Is he part of a fight club? What does he do for work?" And OP responded that he is a pediatric nurse. These kids are getting rough out here.
Bitch. Who? Yeah.
If he is coming home with these kind of injuries and children are doing them, I would say get a different job. Get a different job. Because no amount of physical injury will justify this. Because when you sign up to be a pediatric nurse, I'm sure you aren't thinking that you're literally going to get your shit rocked by some kids. And I mean, pediatric nursing, that's a tough job, but this much violence is not normal for that kind of job. I mean, I'm sure you can expect some physical injuries, but not like this. From what it sounds like OP's saying, not like this.
Not like this. Not like this.
OP has posted an update. OP says, I asked my boyfriend yesterday about what was really going on, and I threatened to rope in my family, the police, and to break up with him. I told him he was jeopardizing my own safety and that he had to tell me. After a lot of stalling, he eventually told me what it was. He is in a fight club.
Holy shit.
I guess the jokes were right. He's actually in a fight club, like the movie. However, it's more complicated than he's just bored. He told me his family in Vietnam, specifically his mom, are pressuring him to give them more and more money. They have told him that if he doesn't give them enough, they will cut contact with him. And even though we both have pretty good jobs, he was struggling to reach their demands and he didn't want to ask me for money. He heard about the fight club from his friends, and at first he thought it wasn't any good. But then he told me he was getting really stressed from his family situation, and getting hit would relieve some of that stress. And once he heard that money was on the line, he decided to join it. That's the reason why he refused to say anything about it, because just like the movie, he followed the first rule of Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
That's also why he comes home sad. He's only using the Fight Club as a way to cope and earn some money on the side. That's also somewhat the reason he would plead with me not to contact the police whenever I told him I would. Even though the actual Fight Club itself isn't illegal, a lot of illegal activities like drugs were being done. I've talked to him about helping him with some money or therapy, but he told me he wants to deal with this himself. For now, I'll stay off, but I told him I'll be helping myself by helping him if he's in a bad situation. Oh my. It is Fight Club. Look, I watched that movie and I really liked it, but I always thought it was fictional. I always thought that Fight Club was not real. It makes sense that because of the movie, Fight Clubs have been formed. But it still blows my mind that I'm reading a story where it actually happened. Well, at least the injuries were consensual.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
As gruesome as that sounds, at least he knows what he's getting into. And it seems like he is killing two birds with one stone. He's going to Fight Club to get some very unusual therapy, but he's also going to make money to help support his family. Now, I will comment that the fact that his family is pressuring him for all of this money, that's a really tough situation. And I personally don't like that. I know that there is a sense of duty, especially in men, to help their families financially. But for them to say, if you don't help us, we will cut you off, that's ridiculous. If they are truly stuck in Vietnam and they've got some bad things going on and they are demanding money from their son who is in the US and has a better living situation, if they are demanding money from him this forcefully and even threatening to cut contact, that means that the family does not truly want a connection with their son. They just want his money. And in this economy and in this world, that's really hard. That's very hard.
That's tough.
And I'm sorry to OP's boyfriend for dealing with this. It puts him in a really tough situation. And we don't have much more background information on his family in Vietnam or in his situation. But that doesn't sound okay. If I were OP, I would dig into a little more about his relationship with his family, because it sounds like it's not healthy. It sounds like it's not good for him. I mean, truly, if the family is struggling in Vietnam and they're just really trying to figure out a way to make some money to survive, that's one thing. But it sounds like they're just trying to get money and finances out of him, which, yes, it is a part of being in a family to help each other out financially, but not like this. Not like this. And I'm sure if they found out that he was joining a fight club, getting his shit rocked, every other week, they wouldn't want that. They wouldn't want him to put himself through that just to help them financially. There's a line, and clearly the boyfriend has crossed that line. At least if I were a family member of his, that would be too much. That would be way too much. Definitely, as OP, I would encourage him. Yes, you said you were going to lay off of him, but over time, I would keep encouraging him to find other ways to, one, deal with his stress, but two, to help his family out. And at the end of the day, that may be cutting the family off and being like, look, I have given everything I've got. You are on your own from here on out. I can't be responsible for literally all of your finances. And if they both have pretty cush jobs, if he's got a good job with pediatric nursing, he's been helping them out for a while, why are they still demanding money from him? I just need to know more about what is going on with the family situation in Vietnam, because it's just not making sense.
I want more.
It's not making a whole lot of sense for the boyfriend to put himself through this much trauma and physical harm and mental harm to support his family financially. It just doesn't make sense to me. As OP, I would definitely press him on what is going on in Vietnam. This story is definitely getting a touche, because the shock factor that there is a fight club out there that exists and that it is truly going on, and that it is truly serving the purpose of helping relieve stress for men while also providing some money. It's crazy. It's a crazy world out there. All right, the next story is from r/best of Redditor updates, which was originally posted on r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for what I, 26 female, said to my boyfriend, 28 male, in front of his friends? A little background. We've been going out since high school, and we have a very jokey relationship. Poking fun for the most part isn't out of the question, though if one of us says we aren't comfortable with one of the jokes, the other makes an effort to not make it again, for the most part. I have been a bit of an obsessive fan of a certain music artist since I was 14. I have more than one tattoo inspired by this artist and her aesthetic, and I have seen her in concert multiple times. I own more merch than I can say and have run several different fan accounts devoted to her during this time. I understand this is weird, but I try not to bring it up in everyday conversation because I am aware it is weird. No, it's not. It's not weird. It's cool. It's a passion. I love it.
That's amazing.
Anyway, most people who know me in passing do not know this about me, and only my best friend and my boyfriend know about the fan accounts. I'm not the kind of person who talks about this artist constantly, and I'm not the kind of person who is annoying in large groups about it. At least anymore. There was a learning curve that I had when I was in high school, and losing friends is a great motivator to fix yourself.
Now that was a lot of damage.
My boyfriend has on and off made jokes about this since we got together. Admittedly, whenever I bring it up to him that it makes me feel insecure and unsafe expressing myself around him, he stops for a while. But he always starts it back up again, and it just bothers me. I can't fully explain it, but it makes me feel like the things I like are somehow inherently bad, and that he wants me to stop having this interest because he doesn't seem to value it. Now, he's never said that, and I don't genuinely believe that, but that's how he makes me feel. An example, I had been cleaning dishes and listening to her music when he came into the kitchen and started singing along in the most high-pitched, off-key falsetto voice I had ever heard, before busting up and turning it off and saying something like, "I don't see how you listen to this crap." This was one of the times I told him that he had hurt my feelings, and he apologized, explaining that he had only meant it as a lighthearted joke, and that he didn't care what kind of music I listened to. I don't really get mad over this, it just hurt my feelings. Context out of the way, we were out at a dinner with his friends and their girlfriends. I had left to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, he was showing his friends a video on his phone, and the audio was familiar right away. It was a performance from over a decade ago that was panned pretty universally. They were all laughing and he was making a lot of jokes until he noticed I had gone quiet and said to lighten up. I tried to smile, but he wouldn't drop it. And finally, I said, I don't like your music taste either, but I would never make fun of you for it. You know that? It was a quiet meal and a quiet ride home, and he is now barely talking to me. Two of the girlfriends there said that I made everything awkward and that I was being unfair because we always made jokes with each other. So am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole. You're not the asshole, OP. For him to know that you have a trigger for people making jokes about your music taste or the artist that you listen to, and for him to continue to do it even after you have expressed the boundaries that you need to feel safe and comfortable in that relationship. No, you're not the asshole. He's the asshole. Absolutely. He's the asshole. This reminds me of a story of when I was in high school and I was a very angry teenager, and I was talking with one of my guy friends about my music taste, which at the time was Imagine Dragons. Still love them, just not my personal taste anymore. And I also talked about other artists. I remember going on a list of different artists I listened to, Imagine Dragons being one of them. And this guy started making fun of me, making fun of my music taste. And I really did not appreciate that. And my little 14-year-old self went on a rampage. There were a couple of other people there, but it was directed at him saying, you know, you have no right to do that. This is my music taste and you have no right to judge me and yada, yada, yada. And I found out later, apparently I made him pee his pants. So I will forever own that I have done that to somebody. Like, I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. A lot, maybe a little. I'm a little proud. A little proud that little old me could make someone pee their pants.
Yes, you ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
But if I were in this situation, I would have done the same thing. I would have called him out because y'all have talked about it enough in private for him to now bring it up in public in front of friends. I would have called him out. I would have done exactly what you did. I would have probably been a little meaner, a little pettier. But what you said was definitely appropriate, definitely was okay, because he clearly violated a boundary of yours that has been brought up multiple times. It should have been understood the first time. Hey, please don't make fun of me. Even if you don't personally enjoy this artist, that doesn't mean you need to make fun of me for it. Because it's an interest, it's a passion, it's something you're a fan of. People who put other people down for enjoying something or being proud of something or being a fan of something are the worst kind of people. The worst kind of people.
The worst kind of person is someone who makes someone feel bad, dumb, or stupid for like being excited about something.
Yes, it's okay to judge someone if they have an unhealthy interest in something. Like, for example, I don't know, say misogyny. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like, you can't constantly bring someone down over something that they enjoy, especially for a partner to bring their partner down for enjoying something is, I'm so sorry, OP. That's not fair to you. And it's just not okay. OP does add some more context. OP says, before I start, I really don't want to name the artist because she's slightly controversial and that isn't what the post is about. But when it comes to his interests, he's a big gamer and loves YouTube. We're also both massive children at heart who love adult animation. He got me really into Meet Canyon and we listened to every new Creepcast episode together. I don't know what either of those are, but I might check them out. I'm sorry, I know I'm giving specifics mostly because I realize that saying, quote, related to his interests makes me sound like I don't know him at all. I just didn't think the specifics were important right now. His music taste is pretty diametrically opposed to mine. It's not bad by any means, but I have added a couple of my favorites to my Spotify over time. But it mostly makes me stressed out, whereas he says it calms him down. I don't mind playing it. I would feel hypocritical if I did. He should feel the same way. Just saying. He should feel the same way.
You're such a hypocrite.
OP has only ever gone to one concert with him, but mostly because he doesn't go that often. He's more of a house party than a concert guy because he can be the playlist dictator. I don't want to / don't intend to dump him over this. This is the only problem we have had in our relationship, period. He doesn't do it often and is really nice about it whenever we talk. I know I probably should have waited until we were alone, but I couldn't play it off well. I do agree that there's a chance he's bringing it up again because the artist is being more active in the circuits right now, making me a bit more engaged. I don't think he's the devil for it if that's the case, but I wish he would say something to me instead of about me because I can use the same tactics I use for people I'm less close with if that's what he needs to feel more comfortable. And I could keep it to myself. But whenever we've talked about it in the past, he's told me that he wants me to feel okay talking to him about it. I think when we talk, I'll bring that up again because it's not like I'm mad or anything. If he doesn't want me to talk about it, all he had to do was ask and it's done. I'm not unreasonable. No, you're not unreasonable, OP. In fact, you're too reasonable for you to offer to say, all right, I'll just keep this to myself. I don't need to talk about it around you if that makes you uncomfortable. I think that's a lot of leeway to give, honestly, because when you date somebody, you sign up to support all of their passions, their wants, their needs, their faults, all of it. And for you to even offer to not talk about something that you are a huge fan of, that has been a good majority of your life, that you're very passionate about, for you to shut that down around him, you're not going to be able to be yourself around him. And what kind of relationship is that when you cannot be yourself? If someone is truly doing something that makes their partner extremely uncomfortable, like unsafe, then yes, that's a different story. But this is just a music passion. That would be like if I said to my boyfriend, hey, I don't want you to talk about D&D around me. I don't feel comfortable. Then like I wouldn't even be dating him at that point. That is a huge part of his identity and I love it so much. And I'm actually learning more about it. And actually, I started playing in a campaign of his recently. It's been really fun. And at first, when I first started dating him, I wasn't really open to even getting involved in the D&D scene. But once I stepped down and was like, you know what? Like, this could be something fun. And even if I don't want to participate myself, at least I can understand why he gets so excited about it. Once I started doing that, I connected with him on just a whole nother level. And I found a new passion of mine.
Connection is fun.
Connection is fun. That's it.
So for him to say, for this OP's boyfriend to say, if he does feel truly uncomfortable, for him to say, I don't want you to talk about it around me, I don't think that's reasonable. I know OP is giving him a lot of leeway and maybe it's something that they can work on together, but I think by shutting that part of yourself down, OP, around your boyfriend, it's gonna put up a wall in y'all's relationship that y'all don't need if this is gonna be long term. And I want to touch on as well the fact that the music artist is apparently controversial. Depends on what they're controversial for. I think, gossiping about a popular music artist and their controversy is fine without actually making fun of the person who might like them. I know there was, reminds me of a story of at my old job, one of my coworkers had a Kanye tattoo. Or I guess he goes by Yee now, or Ye? Kan-YEE? I don't know.
I was Ye, and then they started making more Ye's.
Anyway, he had a Kanye tattoo. And we would poke fun just a little bit because of the controversy that Kanye was in. But we never hammered in on him of like, oh, you're such an idiot, or oh, like, I can't believe you listened to him or listened to him at any point. We never did that. I remember even saying like, yeah, I like Kanye's old stuff, but I'm not a particularly big fan of rap. But I didn't dog him for liking rap or hip hop. Like, I didn't dog him for any of that. So for this boyfriend to continue to do this to his girlfriend, no matter how controversial the artist is not okay. Because I can tell you, OP, if this keeps happening over and over again, you're not going to want to be around him. You're not going to want to hang out with him in a group setting. And it's going to make it really tough on y'all's relationship. And as well, the fact that you're so supportive of his interests that could be considered either niche or unique or just not really reciprocated. The fact that you are so open to him expressing himself around you, even if you don't particularly enjoy it, that doesn't make this a very equal relationship. It doesn't make it very reciprocated. And you need that reciprocation in a relationship in order for it to be healthy and to survive the tests of time. OP has posted an update, and I'm interested to see if they'll reveal the artist. Very interested. So OP says, a lot of people have privately messaged me and helped me work through everything regarding my now ex. Whoa. Including being a shoulder to cry on when I realized it wasn't going to work out. And I guess I felt I owed them an update if they were interested. Not to mention the great advice I received in the comments on the original post. I am deeply thankful to so many of them. A few in particular who disagreed with my take also helped me see where he may have been coming from and helped me to figure out how I was going to talk to him about everything. So I did apologize for bringing it up publicly. I know that many people disagreed with me that I shouldn't apologize, but personally, I've always been the type to want to handle any grievances that I may have with a loved one privately rather than publicly. I didn't like that I allowed myself to break that rule, especially around his friends. He thanked me for that, but I really didn't want to dig into why he felt the need to make a joke out of it. I asked if it was because I had been bringing up her and her music more than usual due to her being active on the media currently, but he denied this. I still continued to press, explaining that we needed to move past this one way or another, because if he continued to mock/ridicule my interests, it was going to make me slowly resent him, something I really didn't want, but I couldn't deny it happening if he continued to act like a bully. Eventually, after a lot of pressure, he explained that this had all started because he had complained to his friends privately about me last year during the lead up to her album release. They didn't like the fact that I was a fan of this artist and made some political assumptions about her based on her lyrical content from over 10 years ago, teasing my boyfriend for having a quote wannabe trad wife girlfriend and other things that he was resentful of, including but not limited to asking if I had daddy issues or if I had a history of sleeping with older men. I am heavily sanitizing the language I used because some of what he said was disgusting, honestly.
You have no fucking idea how not fucking cool that shit is.
Basically, it boiled down to him trying to shame me into not liking the artist anymore so that he wouldn't have to deal with his friends picking on him anymore, rather than just shutting them down. I couldn't be in a relationship like that. I just couldn't. The fact that every time I felt awful about myself and my interests for the past year and just thought I was being oversensitive to a joke, turns out that really the point was to make me feel bad. It destroyed any hope I had for the relationship. I won't lie, I've been pretty heartbroken. The breakup was shortly after the first post, and I've gotten around to updating. So yeah, no big blowout with the dramatics, no secret affair or anything. Just a man trying to make me feel small because he didn't know how to tell his friends to piss off. Boring, but depressing AF. No, it wasn't boring. Yes, it was depressing, but not boring because for his friends to pick on him because of your music taste or choice of artists that you enjoy, he needs to get some new friends. Those sound like miserable people. I would not want to be around those kind of people. I would want to be around people who lift up me or my partner's interests or ask questions of curiosity about them, not pick on them or bully them. And for his friends to put him in a very awkward situation of, do I jump in on the fun of making fun of my own girlfriend for her music taste, or do I stand up to them and support my girlfriend because she's my girlfriend and I'm going to support her interests? I feel bad for the boyfriend there, just a little bit, but also he needs to grow a pair. He needs to grow a pair and do exactly what OP said that he should have done, which is to tell them to piss off. Go pick on somebody else. Go pick on somebody who you're not as close to or isn't your friend's partner, because that's not okay. That is not okay. And to the boyfriend, if I were to tell him anything, I'd say it's okay to put up boundaries with your friends. and still be friends with them. If this continued and got worse, like if you had put up the boundary of saying, hey, no, please don't make fun of my girlfriend like that, go talk about something else. If you were to put up that boundary and then they continued to violate it over and over again, yeah, I'd ditch them, because you are choosing between friends who are being dickheads and your girlfriend who is just enjoying her life and enjoying her music. Yeah, I'd pick the girlfriend for sure. For sure. Because that shows where your priorities lie. And clearly his priorities didn't lie with either of them. He chose the easiest way, which was to not confront it at all. And in fact, he chose a bad path because now he's making fun of his girlfriend. Even if it's subtle, even if it's passive, he's still making fun of her. And that is just not the thing to do. Don't do that. Don't do that. It is okay to joke with your partner about something that they like or are interested in if it's very lighthearted. If you have made it clear to your partner, hey, I don't actually dislike that you're interested in this, I'm just teasing you a little bit, that's fine. This is too far. And I think, too, yeah, OP said earlier in the story that it's not that he didn't actually have a problem with her listening to this artist. Yeah. But then he said that he vented to his friends about it a year ago. So he does have a problem with who she listens to. So he lied or just wasn't telling the full truth, which in my book is still lying. So based on this behavior, OP, I definitely think you did the right thing by breaking up with him, because this would have continued. He would have continued to violate and cross those boundaries because he felt like it was the, quote, only thing he could do, when really it wasn't. He could have stepped up. He could have grown a pair and stood up to his friends and stood up for you, because that's what a relationship is about, a partner who's always got your back. And I'm sorry that it did lead to this. I'm sorry that you did have to end things with him, but I think it was the right thing to do. You want to find somebody who will support you 110% on everything you're interested in, even if they don't understand it. Like I said before, even if you don't understand something or don't think that you would be interested in it yourself, approaching it with a stance of curiosity, like, tell me more about this. Asking someone to tell you something about an interest or a hobby that they have that you have no knowledge of, that is like the golden ticket of maintaining good relationships and good friendships, because they will talk nonstop about those things and it makes them feel comfortable and safe and heard and wanted in that relationship. And you need to feel that way, OP, in this relationship. And if you don't feel that way, if you have to give up that part of yourself in order for things to be just okay with him, no, I'd be out in a heartbeat. And even if you did stay with him, the friends that he has, giving major red flags because they use some really violent language, from what it sounds like, when talking about this artist, that would have been taken personally. Even though you're talking about somebody else, it would have been taken personally based on what OP said about the language that they used.
It became personal with me.
If you stayed in that relationship, I would have still said, hey, I don't like these friends. I don't want to hang out with them. And I really don't want you hanging out with them, because clearly they're bad influences. So that already would have been a struggle if you guys had ended up staying together. So outside of what the friends said, the boyfriend's actions, definitely deal breaker. Absolutely a deal breaker. So OP did eventually come back and reveal the artist that she was talking about. Apparently the artist is Lana Del Rey.
Okay. We made it.
I don't know what controversy was happening around Lana Del Rey or is happening around her. I personally have always liked her voice. I think she's got a great voice, great music. I would need to dig in a little bit more about that. Y'all let me know in the comments if there is some true controversy here that would change the outcome of this situation. If Lana Del Rey, Lana, someone please correct me. I'm uncultured. If there is something that Lana Del Rey truly did that would give the friends reasons to make fun of the boyfriend and make fun of OP for liking her music taste and being very absorbed in the fan base for her, comment that, because I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea. All right, we will go to the next story. This is from r/confession. This has never happened before, and I don't have anyone else to talk to. I know putting this online means inviting others to make comments and judge me, but I need to tell someone. Just please be kind. Nothing like this has ever happened to me, and all of my friends are, quote, our friends. I have no siblings to confide in, and my mother passed away when I was born, so I can only guess what she would say. I, 36 female, have been married to my man, 39 male, for 15 years, and we met when I was 16. We get compliments all the time about how we're everyone's favorite couple. We're still very much in love and take the time to keep the romance and intimacy alive. He gets me flowers every payday on the way home from work. I have dinner ready on the table. We eat together, talk about our days, and clean up together. We share hobbies like golf, fishing, hiking, climbing, and we always find ourselves laughing and having fun. It's that feeling of being so comfortable with someone so you can be as goofy or silly as you want. He's a kind man. He's good to me, and as far as I know, he's always been faithful. I have only ever been with him, as he is the only man I've loved and the only man that I've been with. We talk and text all day while he's at work, and talk even more when he gets home. We both believe that communication is the key to a happy and healthy relationship. He is my peace. He makes me feel safe, and together we have shared a beautiful life. But I can't talk to him about this. I can't talk to anyone about this. Everyone who knows me knows him and knows about us. That's a small town for you. I recently started a new job in June. I work in an office and don't do anything special. I dress casual every day with a shirt, cardigan, and jeans. I tie my hair up, do my work, and go home. I've been here for 2 months and I don't love the job, but I don't hate it either. It's just a way to pay the bills. Now, it all started about 2 weeks ago, and at first I didn't think anything of it, but now it's all that I think about. I'm consumed and it's affecting me being present in a regular conversation. I hope that letting it out can give me some relief, so I'm just going to get right to it. The district manager came to the office and he was greeting everyone, going around saying hello, shaking hands, asking how we liked the job, and if we have any feedback or requests. I remember this day so well, and I replay it in my mind sometimes when I'm alone. I was a quiet girl growing up, so watching people and noticing all the little things about them is something I can't help but do sometimes. He is tall, gentle, and sweet, and you could tell his mama did a great job raising him. A true gentleman and a scholar, with so much charm, you could see all the women in the office smiling and blushing.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
He was this way with everyone, though, even the men. And when it was my turn to meet him, I kept it short and sweet so I could get back to my work. The women talk. I hear my supervisor say he usually doesn't come to our office because we are the farthest location from the main office. However, he shows up the next day. He takes up an empty conference room and keeps to himself, except for his coffee break, where he makes all the small talk in the break room. And for lunch, he leaves the building and he dines out. I don't talk to him much the first week, but I notice he tries to swing by my desk to say good morning with a big warm smile shortly after I get in. The first day he did it, I thought, oh, he's here again. He's making the rounds. The fourth day, I carpooled and was dropped off early, and I noticed he wasn't there yet. Looks like he usually comes in just 10 minutes before me, and this time I get to see his morning routine. I notice he doesn't say good morning to everyone. He goes to his conference room, sets himself up, then he comes over to say good morning. I see the other women watching him. I see them call out to him. He smiles and he waves, but he keeps walking as if he's late for a meeting and can't spare a moment to chat. Thursday is date night with my husband, so I'm more dressed up than normal since I don't have time to go home and get ready. My manager stops by my desk as usual, and I start to think he likes talking to me because I keep it short and sweet so we both can get back to work. Then Friday comes and he comes over to say good morning, but he makes a joke, or at least I think he's joking. He says to me, "You look stunning the other day. I thought you were dressed up for me, but perhaps that's not the case."
Oh my God! Wow!
I laugh lightly and smile. I say good morning to him and he goes back to work. I replay this in my mind a few times. No one other than my husband has ever said something like that to me. He's loved me since I was 16. When I was a young girl, I grew up to be a woman by his side, and truthfully, he was the only one who ever saw me. Loving my husband is easy. Our relationship has always been easy. We don't fight much except for what movie to watch. A lot of the time, I feel like he's my best friend, and sometimes my only friend. I'm having all of these new emotions, and for the first time, I'm struggling with what my heart is feeling. I recognize this feeling. It's been 20 years, but I know. It's butterflies. It's like I'm 16 again and someone other than my dad has noticed me. I'll admit over that first weekend, I wondered what he liked to do, where he was, if he was joking or being honest, and most importantly, if he was thinking about me. I'll admit, on Monday, I dressed up. Part of me wanted him to notice me again, but he wasn't there. I didn't actually realize how much I wanted to see him until I didn't. Then he was back on Monday. I'm not dressed up, and I'm back to my normal. He stops by, but this time he says, "Good morning, beautiful." And my first thought is, does he see the ring? I've worn it every day for 15 years. The tan on my finger will be there forever, I'm sure. I'm caught off guard by that last bit. There's no joke this time. It doesn't feel innocent or polite, but intentional. I had mentioned earlier to a friend that I didn't bring lunch today and was going to get something from the vending machines, and I guess he overheard us. Later that day, he asked me to lunch. I declined politely and said something about how the vending machine and I already have plans, but he insisted. He asked, "Who would you rather be disappointed with, the vending machine or me?" I smile and grab my things, and he takes me to lunch. He's a gentleman. He opens the doors. He walks behind me. He pulls out my chair. He asks me about me personally, my family, my likes, my hobbies. He's attentive and feels so warm and genuine. We go back to work, and this is when he starts to consume my thoughts. That was friendly, wasn't it? Just two coworkers having lunch, right? Why has he taken such an interest in me? I give myself a headache with too many thoughts and what ifs. Thursday is date night and I'm dressed up, but he isn't in the office today. Slightly disappointed. But around 12, he messaged me on Teams, Microsoft Teams, which is the first message he's ever sent me. He says, "I can't wait to see you again." I consider my feelings, but decide he's still a manager and I want to be polite at least. I say I had a lovely time, thanking him for the lunch and saving me from a bad date with the vending machines. Friday, he's back in the office, and this time I'm nervous. He came to say good morning, and he asked me to go for drinks after work on Monday. I tell him I'll think about it. It's Saturday afternoon, and I'm still thinking about it. I'm sure he'll ask me again on Monday morning. If I don't go, I don't know how I'll tell him. And if I do go, I don't know how I'll tell my husband. So I guess that's why I decided to tell you. Help me. Ooh. I just got to take a breather after that. That was a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. I'll have to break this up bit by bit because this is just a lot. Firstly, he is your manager. He is your manager. Yes, he does what he's supposed to do, saying good morning to everyone, being polite, but he is clearly taking a special interest in you. Clearly, it is intentional what he's doing. And I'm sure he sees that ring. I am sure he sees that ring. I'm sure he looks on every woman's finger to see if they've got a ring on. And clearly, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. In my opinion, I think he's taking advantage of his role as a manager with you. You specifically. Because it seems like as a manager, if he finds someone that he fancies in the office who is beneath him, workplace-wise, and he is taking advantage of the fact that you have to be nice to him, that you have to be polite to him because he's your manager and you don't want to get fired. So yeah, he's absolutely using that and he's playing you. He's playing you. Even though you're married. Oh my God. Ugh. I'm getting the ick from the manager. Hold on. Ugh. Oh God. I had to get that out. This guy gives me the heebie-jeebies in like the Ted Bundy way. Give me the heebie-jeebies because he knows he's got riz. He knows he's got that charisma and he's got the authority to take advantage and do whatever he wants with the women in the workplace. That's not okay. I wouldn't be surprised to hear if that's happened before with him, if he's taken advantage of a woman in the workplace and something unfolded. I would check with HR. I would check. I would file a report with HR and I would check and see if this is a continued pattern of behavior, because it's not okay in a workplace. If you were single, might be a different story because you're consenting and you're single, and it happens where a employee ends up dating / marrying a manager, or even just getting with them casually. It happens. But when it's in the workplace, it's a little trickier. It's a little trickier. You never want to get with a coworker or a manager unless it's like, yeah, I'm marrying this person. Like you don't want to get started on that, because it can get very tricky very quickly. And he's speeding that process up for you for sure. But since you're married, none of that matters. He shouldn't be doing this. He should be respecting your marriage and respecting you as a person. He's not. He's doing what he wants to do, flirting all he wants to, and taking advantage of his role as a manager to be able to take you out. That's a red flag. It's not okay. Secondly, we'll go to how OP feels. It makes sense for you to feel butterflies, OP. You haven't experienced this kind of flirtation since, 20 years ago? 15 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it was, a very long time. You haven't felt this in a very long time, because every man, I'm sure, who has interacted with you has seen that ring on your finger and is like, no, I'm not going to flirt. I'm not going to, do any of that. This guy doesn't care, and he's still going to do it. So he's going to flirt with you, and he's going to give you butterflies. And I know that's confusing as hell for you, OP. I know that's confusing, but just know that it's because he's actively flirting with you, versus other men who have been in your life since you've been married probably haven't done that. And I know that dealing with these butterflies can be really tough, especially if you have to see this guy like almost every day. But as long as you manage yourself, manage your behavior, he can do all he wants, but there will always be a boundary that you've put up, OP, by saying, no, I'm not going to give into this, or I'm not going to entertain this. I'm not going to enable this anymore.
It's not going to happen.
So please make sure you aren't enabling that behavior. Going out to lunch with him or drinks with him absolutely will enable that. If he is actively flirting with you and it's very clear and it's very obvious, by going out with him, you're enabling that. You need to put up a hard boundary, because this guy doesn't know any boundaries. He's going to keep violating them over and over again, whether they're vague or even if they're hard set. So you've got to be stern. You've got to be tough on this guy and be like, nope, you are just a manager to me. I will say good morning to you. I will ask how your day's going, but I will not ask anymore. I won't. That's what you have to do. You see someone who's attractive and, you can't help but appreciate that attractiveness. That's fine, as long as you manage and compose yourself.
I need you to promise me that you'll be on your best behavior.
I promised other people that I'd be on my worst behavior.
It's like looking at cake in a display case. You cannot touch it, you cannot taste it, but you cannot act on that, nor share that with anyone. You can't share that you're thinking about that with anyone else. As long as you process it and get over it eventually, that's fine. You just can't act on it. Because having crushes, yes, it's normal when you're married, because you're with somebody for the rest of your life. That's the goal, right? If that's the goal, it's impossible to deny if you're attracted to or you appreciate someone else's looks. It's impossible to deny that for 50, 60, 70 plus years. It's impossible.
Inconceivable.
All you can do is manage yourself, compose yourself, and don't act on anything. And don't enable or entertain anything. And by going out with this manager of yours, that's entertaining it. And that's, I feel bad for the husband. I feel a little bad. Like if I were in OP's shoes and this was happening, I would tell my husband, I'd be like, you want to hear something funny? My manager's totally flirting with me at work. And I think it's hilarious. Do you think it's hilarious? I think it's hilarious. I would totally say that to my husband. Absolutely. Because I think he'd find it funny, and it gives him a little reassurance as well of like, hey, my partner thinks this is just funny and isn't actually entertaining it. And if you approach it that way and you also yourself believe that, even if you feel these little butterflies, if you approach it as more of like a joke, then your husband will take it well. It'll be fine. But you need to make sure you stick with that through and through. No matter how many butterflies this manager gives you, you have to stick with that through and through. Because as you said at the beginning, you love your husband. You love the relationship you have. You guys are there for each other. You do everything together. He is your best friend. And you need to remind yourself of that in situations like this. You need to remind yourself of what you have, and that if you want your relationship to last and you want to keep it up and it be healthy and enjoyable and loving, you need to not enable this manager to keep doing what he's doing. OP has posted an update, and I hope we figure out what she does, because I'm scared. I'm scared for OP and the husband. I honestly did not expect this to blow up. I really just needed to get it out. I have not read all the comments, and after a few harsh ones, I don't think I want to. I know this sounds like a bad romance on the big screen, but I'm a real person, and this is my actual life. I don't care if you hate how I write and if it sounds fake. I've never written anything like this before, and I don't have any other options since I can't talk to anyone. Be mindful, this is literally the most vulnerable experience of my life on the internet right now. I do want to clear some things up. 1, I kept details that I thought weren't important in the post, but obviously I left things out about myself to keep some privacy. I'd like to say that I am not naive or sheltered. I've been catcalled, I've been out drinking with female coworkers without my husband, and I've met the men who will say anything or do anything to get what they want. It's 2024, and I have seen women speaking up about DV and SA. I know I've been with my husband since I was really young, but that's a common small town thing. I'm a grown woman, so be respectful and stop telling me I'm acting like a child.
You better watch who you're calling a child, Lois.
A lot of these comments are projecting their own experiences as if I am them, and as if I am in their exact same situation and on the path to do exactly what they did. In some ways, the insight is helpful, but I want to focus on what has actually happened to me and not the endless list of things that could happen. Someone said, delete his number. I don't have it. Someone said, what about the kids? There are none for anyone. Someone said he's a predator and taking advantage of my innocence. He's a 26-year-old, gentle soul with 3 older sisters. These are details that I learned about at lunch. He moved here a year ago and misses his family. In between asking me questions, he said he liked listening to me talk because it reminded him of his, quote, yappy sis. A lot of you said he just wants to sleep with me and then he will leave. I understand that's a possibility, and trust me, my dad made this clear. Even if a man has good intentions, sleeping with you is still one of them. That's a good saying. However, he just called me stunning/beautiful and said he can't wait to see me. So is that so bad? He has not touched me, hugged me, held me, or made any advances to me. We didn't even shake hands. 2, I will be the first to say, since I haven't seen a single comment on it, I believe men and women can be friends with the right boundaries. 2 of my closest friends are male, good men that I have known for 30 plus years. We grew up from kids to adults and have never crossed the friendship boundary. I've gone drinking and blacked out with them, and they've gotten me home safe. I hang out with them together and separately, with or without my husband. They compliment me too, and it's all very respectful of my marriage. Everyone saying I shouldn't have gone to lunch was not there and could not see how innocent and sweet it all was.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, he treated me like a lady, but that's how the good ones act. I know it's different and uncommon because unless you've lived in a small town, you might not get it. But try to accept that small towns have people who truly care about the ones around them. This is true even if you don't have a personal relationship with everyone. You still see the same familiar faces wherever you go. This isn't a big city with a bunch of strangers, as locals tend to know each other and often have known each other for a few generations. Now, before someone pops off, he's also from a small town, just in a different state. I really wanted to leave some details out to keep this anonymous, but you've all made such ugly assumptions. As I type this, I hope he doesn't use Reddit, because if he reads this, he will know it's me. But we're in the thick of it now.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it.
I will admit that during lunch, he asked me about my family. I told him that I'm an only child. I told him about my dad and what happened with my mom. I told him about my friends, the 2 guys and my childhood best friend. I told him what I like to eat. Do I cook? What do I like to cook? What I like to do? And my hobbies. I will also admit he did not ask about my husband, and I did not bring him up. But hear me out before you crucify me. This felt like a casual conversation. I didn't feel the need to go out of my way to bring up my husband simply because no boundaries were crossed and he didn't ask. 3. I will tell my husband. I have never lied to him. It's not what we do. And I know I'm hiding in the gray area of not telling him right away. But what if I'm overthinking and there's no need to stir the pot? What if the district manager wants to be friends? What if I ask the district manager if my husband can come too? I'll leave with this. I think maybe the butterflies were a response to his compliments, kindness, and his charm. Also, that him consuming my thoughts is fueled by my curious nature, powered by my overthinking brain. I do want to have a relationship with him, and I think that we can be good friends. I want to go for drinks and confirm his intentions, then talk with my husband the same night. It's Saturday evening, and I'll check this again tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys can practice empathy and understanding before you say something hurtful.
Oh, no. No, 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 no.
Woo. I can see how the commenters were quick to pounce. The way that OP is expressing her thoughts indicates that she may act in a certain way. It indicates that she may enable this manager's behavior. Even with the talk of, the being from a small town, being polite, being a southern gentleman as I know it, I think he still went a few steps too far. He's moving kind of quick. In a matter of 2 weeks, but more so 1 week, the manager has invited her out to lunch and has invited her out to drinks and has complimented her physical beauty and things like that. And it doesn't sit right with me. It does not. It gives me the ick is what it gives me.
I got the ick.
And I'm so sorry that OP feels the need to get so defensive about this. Probably OP may have gotten a little shit on for enabling him going out to the lunch and things like that. I definitely don't shit on OP for doing that because clearly OP hasn't been in this situation since she's been married. She has not had to deal with a guy really treading the waters and seeing what boundaries that she will put down. So this is all very new to her. So I don't diss her at all for what she's done so far. But I will diss her if she continues to enable him. Because I do think the district manager isn't just being nice. It sounds like he doesn't usually take people out to lunch or out to drinks, and he's just inviting her, not like a group of coworkers. I'm okay with a group of y'all going out. I think that's fine, no matter what strata of the management you're in at your workplace. That's fine, but he's just inviting the OP. He's just inviting her on top of the compliments, on top of the flirtatious nature that he is presenting her. It's sus. It's sus. It's very sus.
That's suspicious.
As I said before, clearly the manager has got some riz. He knows what he's doing. Even if some of it can be explained by cultural expectations or behaviors, like I said, the Southern charm, those kinds of compliments are not just him being nice, especially since he is your boss. I cannot emphasize that enough. He is your boss. Listeners, if y'all have been in this situation, feel free to comment how something like this has made you feel. I have not been in this situation, but I think that it would make me very sus and want to put up those boundaries very quickly. Like not enabling any of this behavior, not letting these things happen. If you were to go out for this dinner or drinks or whatever it was, just conduct yourself appropriately and absolutely bring up your husband. Absolutely bring up that you're married. That can be just by asking him, oh, so are you in a relationship? Are you married? What's that like? So that way you can bring up yours and be like, oh, yeah, I'm married. Look how pretty this ring is. I would absolutely do that. I would rub it in his face. I'm married! And if he's single, I would ask why he may be single. He's only 26, so there's still, he's still probably trying to figure things out, but maybe he's single for a reason. I don't want to assume poorly of the manager, but so far, he's giving me the red flags to assume poorly. And that kind of goes back to the point that I said earlier of, has he done this before? Has he flirted with coworkers before? Has he taken them out before? Has he had relationships with coworkers or employees who are under him before? And also, I want to look at this real quick. So the boss is 26 and OP is 36. That's a 10-year difference. I'm wondering why the manager is trying to get it on with a 36-year-old employee of his. Ugh. Ugh. Gives me the ick again. It gives me the ick.
Oh, I really got the ick.
So even with this, if you do go to dinner or drinks with him, be on high alert. Do make note of the little things he says. Clearly you've been doing that already, but do it again in a different light. Do it again as red flags. Do it again as, uh-oh, this could go somewhere that I don't want it to go. Because if I were you, I would I would be a little petty. I would bring it up to your HR department. I don't know how good your HR department is. I don't know if they will actually do something about this. What you have right now is not enough to make a full complaint to HR and them take you seriously. But as I've always said, it is important to document everything. Document everything. So even though what was happening before isn't enough for something to be done about his behavior, document it.
Write that down, write that down!
Document it, date it, sign it, do it all. Keep it in your notes app on your phone or a little notebook or something, because it could come in handy one day. Because look, hear me out. If you put up boundaries with him and you don't go out with him or enable him or anything, you make it clear you are married, you are not interested, I bet you he's going to move on to someone else. I bet you he's going to move on to a coworker of yours who may have a different situation, who may be married, who may be in a relationship, or who may be single, and things could get a little hairy. And having some sort of documentation to help them out is going to be really great, really beneficial, because that's, unfortunately, we only hear about stuff when it's gone too far. And I guarantee you, if this happens, if it goes too far and everyone's like, oh, well, yeah, this happened with me, you want to have it written down, documented, dated, and signed. So that way it's not so surprising when it happens to someone else. Now, I will say, OP, if you're worried about how this guy is making you feel, if you're worried about those butterflies, I know you said that you and your husband's relationship is really good, that you guys have a great love life, great relationship, great marriage. But if you feel like you're missing something that you're getting from this guy, like those butterflies, maybe something needs to happen in your marriage. Maybe it needs to be discussed how you guys can bring these butterflies out of each other again, bring that excitement back, that fire back.
Absolutely electric, the passion.
Because I think it's very important in long-term relationships. If that fire dwindles down, you're gonna be tempted. You're gonna start looking, and you don't want to do that. Relationships constantly take work, and they take effort. It's not effortless. The normal things are effortless, like having civil conversations, talking about things you enjoy, those kind of things. But really maintaining that deep connection that you have with your partner takes work. It takes effort. And this is something that could be touched on in y'all's marriage, from what it sounds like, that you want those butterflies back. You want to feel that excitement again. And there's lots of ways to do that. I won't get into that now. Well, I'll tell you what. Comment down below if you think I should get into that. Relationship advice is a passion of mine, if y'all couldn't tell. So if you guys want to hear some recommendations for how you can spice your relationship up, comment that down below, and I might find a story that will get me talking about it. And either way as well, definitely tell your husband. Definitely tell your husband. At this point, tell your husband. Just tell your husband. Like I said before, it can be in a kind of a humorous, joking way, or it can be, you mentioned maybe inviting more people to go out to dinners with you and your boss. That way it's not just you two. Definitely do that. Tell your husband, be like, hey, I'm developing a solid friendship with my boss at work. I would love for you to meet him. I'd love for us to go out for drinks or for dinner. I think that would be great. That could be good. And that, again, gives a clear boundary to the boss. I am married. I just want to be friends. In fact, here's a male friend that I think you could have. That could be really good. It could be really good. But you definitely need to tell him before you go. Before, not after. You need to tell him before. You can still bring it up in the joking manner, or if you do want to be serious about it, you can say to him, like, hey, you can even say it as this, because it sounds like this could be true. I feel pressured to go out with my boss, but I don't feel 100% comfortable. Can you just either be nearby or have your phone on you in case, I need you to make up an emergency to get me out of there, or just letting you know, like, hey, this is happening. I will maintain myself. I will not enable anything he does. I will not give in to any advances he makes. And you need to trust me. If you need to tell him that, that's fine too. I don't think it's necessary in this situation, but if you would rather just be very upfront about it, go for it. Because after 15 years, you have that trust with your husband to be just completely honest about it. And if the boss does make advances during the dinner, if he does go too far, tell your husband and report your boss to HR. Do it. Absolutely do it.
Do it.
And make sure you somehow document what has happened to you in that interaction, whether it was things he says or things he does. You need to document that. And please mention that you are married ASAP to your boss. It is bound to come up in a dinner or drinks. I forget what they were doing. It's bound to come up. You need to make sure it's mentioned and see how he reacts, because that'll reveal his intentions pretty clearly. I would say so, pretty clearly. Now, I will play devil's advocate for a moment for the boss. I mean, OP is kind of defending him, saying it's just his charm. It's just a small town cultural thing to do, to be really nice, to invite me out to dinner and drinks and lunch and whatnot, and the compliments. It's just cultural, or it's just, if this guy is truly innocent, let's tap into that. If this guy is truly innocent, he needs to relearn how to approach women. He needs to relearn that, because I do still think he's going a smidge too far. And OP, you could point that out to him. You could be like, hey, if you're just being friendly, these are my boundaries. Just please don't do that. Because if you're wanting to develop a friendship with this guy, having boundaries like that is important. As someone who also has a lot of guy friends, a lot of times those boundaries may not be inherent. They may not be clear. So you need to set those if this guy doesn't clearly know what those boundaries are.
Don't cross this line
when it comes to being friends with women. But again, there's another layer. It's a woman in the workplace who is managerially below him. And I think that's what makes me, I can't even play devil's advocate for this guy, because that gives it the cherry on top of like, okay, no, this guy's full of shit. This guy is full of it. So to conclude that long story, OP, I think he's flirting with you. And I think you need to mention that you're married. And I think you need to document any moves that this guy makes towards you that could be perceived as more than friendly. And you need to tell your husband. Period. Good. I think we're good. After that hot and heavy mess, I wanted to read from something more lighthearted and shorter. So I will be reading from r/Ask Reddit. They say there are no stupid questions, but what question made you think otherwise? One commenter said, I once had a classmate ask if the Cold War was so cold because it happened in the winter. Had to double check if we were still in history class or if I accidentally wandered into a stand-up comedy show. Now, to be honest, I also thought this when I was younger. Before I had actually taken any classes on the Cold War, I thought it was because it was cold. Like global warming was like opposite, and it was just a really cold time all around the world or wherever the war happened. I wouldn't say that that's a stupid question. I think it's a little naive. I don't think that's a stupid question, though. Am I saying that because I have asked that myself? Probably. I'll be honest, probably. Another commenter said, I had to do this like 3 days ago. Customer brought back the packaging but kept the product. She didn't understand why we wouldn't give her a refund. If you are returning a product, you need to have the product in there, right? Am I losing it? Bruh. Someone responded saying, wow, that's even worse than people clearing their plate and demanding a refund because it wasn't to their taste. Oh my gosh, I hate it when people do this. I absolutely hate it when people do this. When they literally clear their plate or they finish their drink or whatever they're consuming, there's no way of getting that back. And then to claim, oh, I didn't really like it, it wasn't very good, or It wasn't to my taste. No, you should have stopped after the first bite or the first sip and been like, I think I want this remade, or I think I want something else. Oh my God. It makes me so mad when people do that.
You really pissed me the off.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense to me because you're getting your money's worth and then you want more. You want more. Well, then you can pay for another one. You can absolutely pay for something else. Absolutely. Another commenter said, I was asked, were you present when your photograph was taken? I was on jury duty, and hearing that question being asked made me question the thought process behind it. Let's just take a second to think about this. Were you present when your photograph was taken? If it was my photograph, I'm in the photograph. I had to be present. No, it was my ghost. Yeah, just does things for me, like take my photo when I'm on jury duty. No, it was my twin. Yeah, I've got a secret twin. Ta-da. Like, no freaking way that's a serious question that is asked in court. No way. Ugh. Yeah, that's a stupid question. For sure. That gets the touche shock factor. For sure. And lastly, a commenter said, someone asked, what's our elevation? This was said as we were on a boat on the ocean. It's your elevation if you are at sea level, because you're on the sea. Then you're at sea level. Crazy. Now, to be honest, some people may not know how elevation works. They may not know how sea level works or how it's measured. But if you're a grown adult and you think that that's an okay question to ask and you won't be laughed at, maybe you need to go back to school. Some people just need to go back to school. They need to pay attention more. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of TouShaiPod. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and please share. Comment if you enjoy some controversial music artists, or if you have had a very flirtatious boss, or if you have been witness to someone asking a stupid question. Comments below. Would love to hear them and feature them on the next episode of this podcast.
Please, 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 please.
We will catch y'all next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and share the pod. You can find episodes and more on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, and YouTube, or just check out the link tree in my bio for an easy place to get plugged in. You can also submit your very own story or other submissions in the Reddit community r/TouShaiPod. Or you can email it to TouShaiPod@gmail.com. That's TouShaiPod on all platforms. I'll catch you later for the next time Reddit makes me say touche once again. Hi, Bear. Hey. What are you doing? Cutie. Having crushes while you're married is normal. Especially, oh my God. Are you okay? Are you okay, child? Sorry, he was like gagging and it was freaking me out. Okay, he's fine. Anyways.